Hello and welcome to this Year 11 and Year 13 information evening for students, parents and carers. As part of this presentation now, I'm going to look at some generic revision strategies and some key points of how you should revise and some key components of how to make your revision more efficient. Please feel free after this presentation, if you have got any questions, then to email me. My name is Mr. Loftus and my email address is kloftus@utcsheffield.org.uk. So if we look at some key points of how to make your revision more effective, the first thing is to stick to a routine. Try and build yourself a timetable so you know what you've got to revise, you know when you're revising it, so that you're more likely to actually continue and stick at your revision. Stay connected with friends, ask them questions via email or social media if you've got them. If you're doing it together or you're doing it jointly, it makes you more motivated to actually continue with that revision. Create a workspace that you can concentrate in and that you're not going to get easily distracted. And then most importantly, point 4, keep a healthy lifestyle. Make sure you sleep well, make sure you've eaten well, make sure you exercise. It will release those endorphins to make you feel better and help your concentration levels. And keep hydrated. It certainly will help improve your short-term memory. So what are some of the best practices to help you revise as far as generic practices that will support all subjects when you are revising? And some of the key points are, use colours, highlight some of the key points so it makes them stand out and you're more likely to remember them. Set yourself some goals, whether it's a time goal or it's a challenge or it's based on the content and the amount of content that you're actually going to cover in that revision session. Organise your workload. As I've said, create yourself a timetable, whether you give yourself, a day off at the weekend. But if you're having those short chunks of revision each day, you are more likely to be able to remember that key material. Pace yourself. That's really important. You can't be expected to revise everything in one go, particularly over a course that's lasted for 2 years. You'll have too much content. You've got to break it down into chunks and revise it in those small, short space of time. No late nights. Aim for 8 to 10 hours of sleep per night. It will certainly help boost your memory recall. Test yourself. Set questions to help you fully understand. Don't just revise the content you know. Once you know it, have quick recaps, but challenge yourself on the content you don't know. You never know if it's going to come up in the exam or not. Avoid distractions, put your phones away. Some of you might enjoy working to music. If you do, keep it quiet so it isn't distracting. And then at the end of your revision, reward yourself, whether that's watching television, whether it's going and doing some kind of physical activity, whether it's playing on your computer games, but give yourself a reward each time that you finish a revision session. Now I'm going to share with you 3 generic practices that can be used across all subjects that will help your revision and your memory recall. And the first is known as retrieval practice. Now, this is the act of recalling information without having it in front of you. And the research shows that this is far more effective than reading and rereading it. But how do we do this? Now, what you should do is you should look to write it down, and whether you write everything down you know about a topic or a certain unit, and then you go back to see what you have missed. It might be even that you read your notes first, then you write it all down, and then you go and see what you have missed again. Working with a partner, this also helps. Again, I've already said this helps with your motivation, but if you and a partner can write down everything that you know, and then you can check each other's notes to see what is missing, whether you check your partner's and your partner checks yours. Parents can get involved in this if they're aware of the content. You can then see what's missing and check for gaps, and then that will again help with your memory recall. And you can create flashcards. These are brilliant because you can fit these inside your pockets. You can carry them around quite easily with you. You can use them as you're travelling to school, particularly on the day of the exams, where you can check your key content. And if you make these flashcards and then you try recalling the information that's on them, and you can either do that out loud to yourself or you can do it to a partner. Parents, you can get involved in this because you don't have to know the content. You can just read it on the flashcard and then you can tell your child whether they've got the correct content or not. And the researchers, they have found that nothing cements long-term learning as powerful as this retrieval practice. And the second revision or type of revision that I'd share with you is what's known as spaced practice. And this is the theory that short, sharp bursts of learning are far more effective than cramming it in just before an exam. And if you can combine this with retrieval practice, you're going to get the best results. So how can you do this? Well, you can mind map. You can do this after class, or you can do it as part of your revision. So you can say, right, well, what do I know about a certain subject? And then write it all down. You can review your mind map or the notes that you've made a few hours later to see if you can remember it, either via that retrieval practice of trying to call it out loud or write it down or getting a partner to test you. Or you can create what's known as memory cards. So in your next revision session, you're creating these memory cards with either the question or the content on the front and then the answers on the back. And again, you can keep testing your knowledge, and you can repeat this every single session, making sure that you're spacing those sessions out. And again, parents, you can get involved with testing your child using memory cards, because you can ask the questions that are on the front, or you can say, tell me about the content, and then you'll have the answers on the back. So it's a great way of supporting your child or supporting your friends through the revision process. And then the final practice is what's known as interleaving. Now, interleaving your revision helps you remember more. And it's this theory that if you revise one topic in each session, it will help you make, or if revising more than one topic, sorry, in each session, it will help you make better links between them. And the reason why this is because it will strengthen that memory association. And because the brain is continuously engaged by retrieving different responses and bringing them into your short-term memory, repeating this process reinforces the connections between different tasks and the correct responses, which will enhance your learning. So the way you can do this is you can switch between topics during each session. So whether that's different subjects like English and maths, or it's different actual content within a certain subject, and switching between the two, you can help build those links. You can review your content in different orders. So rather than going from top to bottom, if you go from the bottom upwards, or you go from the middle to the top and then the middle to the bottom, if you've made certain notes, recalling them in different orders will help you remember them in greater detail. And making these links will help you remember more. So, once you've built these links, whether it's through an acronym or whether it's through associating two different types of content, it will help you review your revision notes in greater detail, so that you are more likely to be able to retrieve them when it comes to your exams and your assessments. So thank you for listening. Please now make sure that you go and actually look at the key subject revision videos that have been placed on there by the different subject curriculum directors. These presentations will outline what you should be revising for each subject. It will share with you the key exam dates and the key mock assessment exam dates or coursework dates that are set by the different subjects. It will explain the interventions that are on offer and when they are on offer. And it will give you some key tips from each subject area on the content that you should be revising. If you do have any further questions following you watching the videos, then please feel free to email the subject teachers or the curriculum directors, and they'll do their utmost to answer those questions for you. So thank you very much for listening. And if you've got any further questions on your revision, then please don't hesitate to get in touch with me. Thanks for listening.